Airtight love.
This is a story of love. This is a story of obsession. But more importantly, this is a story of hope and the promise that each new day brings. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, my tale begins on a beautiful late spring afternoon at a potluck supper at the church. I was eyeing some homemade brownies across the table. Just as I was reaching for those brownies, this lovely hand reaches across and sets down this container, and with a delicate thumb, she opens it up, takes the top off, and this beautiful smell wafts out. And I look up that arm, and I look into this face of this beautiful woman, and she says, "Strawberry rhubarb pie. I just made it this morning." That afternoon, I learned to love rhubarb pie. And over the next few months, I learned to love that woman. As we exchanged the bounties of our gardens, we exchanged recipes, we cooked for each other, we went to each other's houses, and there were always leftovers, and we'd bring them home to take them to work the next day. We had kale, we had green beans, and as the garden progressed through the summer, we had tomatoes, we had corn. We had just a lovely summer of beautiful food and beautiful times together and romance, and it was wonderful. But then late summer came, the garden dried up, and our love blew away, and she was gone. I took to taking long walks, and those walks turned into hikes of the gorge. And one day, I was hiking in the gorge. I sat down to eat my lunch. I pulled out my backpack, and in my backpack, I had one of those leftover containers from our relationship. And I had carrots, and another container I had peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'm sitting there eating, just thinking of wonderful times out here in the woods and the quiet and solitude. And around the bend came this lady. She said, "Oh, you're eating lunch. Can I join you?" She popped down next to me, and she pulled out her backpack. And lo and behold, she had some containers in there as well. She had some raisins, she had some sliced apples. And we looked at each other and said, "How far are you going to hike today?" "Oh, I had about 2 miles planned." "Okay, well, let's go." We started hiking together, and turns out she was a jogger. We started jogging together. We rode bikes together, and we always had snacks with us. And we would stop on our hikes and our journeys, and we'd eat beautiful meals on the side of the road. And boy, that was a rough time of my life. That was the time when I did a lot of hiking and did a lot of biking. I got the calves. I got the t-shirts to prove that I did the 3-mile runs. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. We had some good times together. Then the cold winter months came, and we were confined into our small house. And we found that the love we shared in the expansive outdoors was smothered by the cold and by the walls around us. And one day, she was gone. And through those winter months, I sat and I just contemplated life, and I contemplated love, and I contemplated the things that I had left over from those relationships. And I had nice memories, but they were just memories. But what I mostly had was containers that ended up in my cabinets after we shared our meals together. And I started looking at these containers, and they're really neat containers. They have a sealer on the top. They keep things nice and fresh in there. You put them in the refrigerator, you pull it out the next day at work, and you open it up, and it's nice food there, ready to eat. And I started researching more about these plastic containers, and I discovered that they're Tupperware. So I went on Wikipedia and I read about Tupperware, and I discovered that Tupperware was invented by Earl Silas Tupper at the end of World War II. And early in 1950s, he met up with Brownie Weiss. Brownie Weiss is the woman who introduced the idea of having Tupperware parties. Now, who here has gone to a Tupperware party? Come on now. Yep, and they're great things, and they're indestructible. And I started obsessing on Tupperware. I started collecting Tupperware. Tupperware is easy to collect. You can go to work, and in the cabinets at work in the kitchen, people leave their Tupperware there all the time. And you watch it for a couple days, and if it's still there, you grab it then. And don't worry about their magic marker written in notes that says McGillicuddy. WD-40 takes that magic marker out. Tupperware home. And Tupperware is so easy to come up with. You go to potlucks at churches, and you say, oh, I'm going to clean up. So you take the stuff to the kitchen, you have your bag there, and you end up with more Tupperware. You can collect Tupperware everywhere. And I discovered more and more about Tupperware. I discovered that there was a Tupperware museum down in Kissimmee, Florida. Now, who else has gone to the Tupperware Museum? I'm shocked. The more I thought about it, the more I figured out that Tupperware is the only permanent thing that we can count on in life. You can't count on love, you can't count on relationships. They just go when the seasons are gone. But Tupperware is always there for you. And another good place to find Tupperware is at family reunions. I'm not talking about your family reunion, I'm talking about other families. Oh, it's good to see you all again. It's been so long. And there's more Tupperware to take home. And more stories that you can tell later on. And I wasn't really looking for a relationship. But one day I went to a potluck dinner, and nobody there. And I'm keeping an eye on people, see what people bring. And I noticed this woman across there. So we start talking, and we start laughing, and we start getting to know each other. And over those next few months, we got to know each other real well. And it was such a shock to me that I would fall in love again, especially with a woman who did not have Tupperware. She went to Kroger and bought store-bought cakes and things. She didn't make things her own in many places. She had no Tupperware. She had no tie-downs, no permanent things in her life except me. Until one morning I woke up and she was gone. Not only that, she had taken all my Tupperware. But I told her that this is a story of hope and promise. And I know that somewhere right now in Lexington, there's a woman pulling out her recipe box and getting a recipe for fresh apple pie. And she's going to bake that apple pie, and she's going to bring it tomorrow to the potluck that I'm going to, and she'll set it on the table in an airtight container. That was magic.